everybody. Back with another video. Let me make sure this is running really quickly. I always like to make sure everything is going. Yep, okay, so good. So tonight is going to be a topic that is, well, something I've really wanted to talk about for quite some time. And I was actually talking to someone in my Discord server about this, and they come to find out they have the same thing. And hey, how's it going, Rosa? I may not respond to a lot of comments, Rosa. Since you already know what this is, so I'm going to try to focus on other people's comments in this video. Nothing against you, though. I mean, you're my best friend. But anyway, yeah, so this topic here is, there's a lot to get into with this. There's a lot to get into with this, and I don't know if a lot of people are going to understand what I'm going to be saying in this video. So just bear with me. And yeah, so I'm going to make sure, because I got to send this to the Discord server. Let me okay, so got that going. Anyway, so I'm going to be talking quite a bit about the chosen ones. I'm going to be talking about stuff about the chosen ones, obviously. And hey, how's it going, Noah? So a lot of you, like I said, y'all, if y'all don't understand something, I'll try my best to my ability to be able to talk about it, because see, this topic here, I'm not going to lie, it's very hard to put into words. So I'm going to use the best words that I honestly can to describe what I'm talking about. So we're going to talk about some people in the Bible as well with this video. So with that being said, give me 1 second. I actually forgot a drink. So I'll be right back in a moment. Okay, I'm back. Sorry. That would have been bad if I'd tried to do this video without a drink. Anyway, so yeah, the question is as far as the Christian otakus, do you get downloads? That's my question. I talked to a guy on the server about this last night, and come to find out, we had a very good conversation about it, and come to find out he's a lot like me in more ways than I thought, y'all. It felt really good to know that he was a lot like me, so to say. So now, some people we're going to talk about in the Bible here is, to name a couple, we're going to talk about Jonah. We're going to talk about Abraham. We're going to talk about Daniel, and a couple of other people in the Bible during this chat. So basically, the chosen ones, which are Christians. So this is why I want to know if any of you otaku Christians have it, is they will get what's called download, and downloads, however you want to call it. And what that is like, a chosen one can be sitting like just playing a game, or like they could be doing whatever. And it's like, say they're riding a bicycle, or they're working out at the gym, or playing a game, watching a TV show, cooking, whatever they're doing. They can be sitting there and it's just like, bam, they end up getting a download. And basically what that is like a download is like, it's more like a intuition is kind of speaking to you, but this comes actually directly from God. And some of the downloads, like a download in the Bible, right? Like when Abraham, God showed him that Isaac was going to gain all this stuff, that God had all this stuff planned out for Isaac, and, the whole story. So when Abraham saw this, he had a download. And a download can be almost about anything. There's happy downloads, there's negative downloads, there's actually, I'll just say there's positive downloads and there's negative downloads. We'll just kind of narrow it down to that. So the positive download, like I had one like one time in the shower, it could be almost anything. It's like, I was just sitting there, I was just in the shower, and just bam, I had a download come. And it was a download about how like the new SSJ4 Goku from Daima is going to be in one of the Dragon Ball games, right? Well, come to find out, bam, it happened. So a download cannot be wrong. So a good example I'm going to use for this is back, y'all have heard me talk about this before, is the F4 historic tornado that I was in. So I kept having these dreams for a year of this tornado. And the weird thing about it was, like, I knew where it would shift in my dream. Like, it was like one of those dreams where, like, it was very realistic. Like, as a matter of fact, if you've ever seen the franchise Final Destination, it's a lot like that in a way. And what I mean by that is, like the one individual from Final Destination will see like a vision, a premonition of like an accident that kills all these people. And, when they see it, what it is, it's a download, because it's very similar to a download. And if it's not a download, so it's like, then they have to act because they feel the need to act in this film. And so they do, and then death comes for them one by one. Okay, so my reason in mentioning this film is like, when the chosen one has a download, it's a lot like that movie. I'm not going to lie. Like the whole premonition scene, like it's a lot like that. It's crazy, y'all. It's weird. Like, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to probably stumble over my words a little bit with this, because it's like, it's very hard to describe. Does that make sense? Because a download, it's spiritual. It's not it's not anything that's not spiritual. Like, it'll be like a spiritual download. Like, you'll say you'll get some good news possibly, and then bam, or it's like, you'll get a download about like somebody, this is big. Like what chosen ones, they get downloads about people that or things that nobody even knows, and then you try to go express this, and it's like it'll either A, change someone's life, or B, it's gonna irritate their demons. The chosen ones, they demons can't hardly be around them, y'all. They really can't. And I've seen this a lot. Like, and I'll tell you another thing too. Like, if y'all have had this happen a lot, let me know. Hey, how's it going, Gigi? And how's it going, Tierra? Nice to have y'all. So it's like I don't know if you've ever had this, but like say you go outside, like, and you start noticing this stuff when you become awoken. You'll start, noticing things. It's like, like me, like one of the signs you're a chosen one is like every time you go outside, it could be cloudy. I mean, extremely cloudy. And then bam, sun comes out. Or like, the birds will kind of flock to you and then start chirping like they're trying to speak to you. And it's like, that's really cool stuff. That's really cool stuff. It's like I've had this stuff all throughout my life, and like I started noticing this stuff when I was 6 or 7 years old, and it was like I knew I was different from a lot of people, and as I grew older, it's like I started struggling really bad to understand this. Why? It's like I would be 7 years old, I'd be sitting playing with my toys or whatever, and just bam. I'd have a download, or I'd be sitting there playing a game, and it's like, bam, have a download. And, it's kind of one of those things. It's very similar to like a blessing and a curse both. But it's like, like a chosen one, they can sit here and tell you, they can look at a picture and tell you why this person took that picture, why they're standing a certain way in this picture, why they're posing a certain way in this picture. And it's like, that's divine knowledge, y'all. That is divine knowledge that the Creator, God Almighty, gives us. And, like I'm the type of person, like I can be around someone and just bam, I'll get a download, whether they're bad or they're good. Like I'll be able to get a download if they're high vibrational or if they're low vibrational. And like, I can't really say anything too much because of privacy reasons. But I went to a support group the other day, and I met a really good friend there. And I talked to this other lady, and come to find out she struggles with a little bit of stuff that I do. And that's all I'm going to really say. And it was like, I was sitting there. And it was like, bam, I got a download when this woman was talking, literally. I'm not even kidding. And she was talking, and it was crazy. So you say these download premonitions can't be wrong, but what if they believe that they are received a vision, but it ends up being wrong? Okay, so I'm just trying to understand you. No, you're good, bro. You're good. If y'all have to ask questions all you want. That does not bother me. So basically, a download, if something is coming from God, how can it be wrong? A download is not necessarily just thoughts. A download is like, you will see something happen, or like you'll be sitting here talking. Say you like don't know, like if a chosen one is around a bunch of people that's like drunks, right? And they don't know they're drunks yet, and it's like bam, they could get a download, and it's like God is telling them that these people are all drunks, and it's like you're not going to be able to fit in with this crowd unless you are like them. And it's like the chosen one's going to walk away every time. The chosen one is not going to sit here and stay within this situation, because a chosen one, they can't be around low vibrational people. Like I mentioned the other day about high vibrational people, they have to be around high vibrational people, and I met someone the other day in this group, and I can tell she seems very high vibrational. She seems really cool. But another thing too is like, so this back to this dream I was talking about. So about this tornado. So I kept having this reoccurring dream for a year, or about a year, and every time this dream, it would happen the same way. Now, chosen ones, they depending on the chosen ones, some get downloads more than others. So if you don't receive like as many downloads as me, or I don't receive as many downloads as you, like that's irrelevant. That does not matter. Like I could sit here and receive 200 downloads within a month, and then it's like, you could sit here and receive 400. It's like that doesn't really matter. But it's like, I think we as chosen ones and Christians, we should share our downloads. And the reason why they're called downloads, before I get back to the dream, I'll say this, is like, think of when you're on the PlayStation or the Xbox or your Steam account. Think about how you're downloading a game to the said hardware. It's a lot like that. This information, like you'll see it and it just download. It's like a download. And that's why they call them downloads, because it gives you so much divine, knowledge that God has given you. Like this is a gift from God. Like God gets all the credit for this, y'all. I'm not even kidding. He gets all the credit. And hey, how's it going, Storm? I was actually just talking about you a while ago. Anyway, God deserves it all. That is absolutely right. Yes, he does. He deserves it all. And it's like, in this dream, it like every time everything would happen the same way. And like me and my wife would never die in this dream. And like one of my neighbors, I didn't see who it was, but it was just, all I knew was one of my neighbors. They had their legs broke. There was blood everywhere. And then like I even saw in the dream where the tornado shifted, bro, like y'all, and started like in the direction of my home. And like I knew everywhere where it was going to hit, everything. Well, fast forward to the night it happened, and I couldn't have been more wrong, y'all. Like God does not give you false downloads. Because here's the thing: if you say you got a download and it's wrong, it ain't from God. That's just your thoughts. So a download can never be wrong, because it's very spiritual. It's spiritual. They call them spiritual downloads. Actually, that's a better term for it. Actually, a spiritual download. And pretty good, man. Just got back home. Hope you and everyone here is doing fun as well. Yes, we are doing pretty good. Just talking about this topic. Anyway, so I went and actually looked around, at like when daylight hit. And bro, this tornado shifted exactly where it did in my dream. The night of the tornado, one of my neighbors, they had a car fall on them, broke their legs. Another woman was in a mobile home, and her legs were broken. So, some of these downloads, y'all, I'm going to be honest. When I say that it's like a blessing and a curse, is some of these downloads can be really depressing, like that one there, because, when you're seeing this, it's like, oh, well, maybe it's just a nightmare. And then it really happens, the download actually happens. It's very scary. So let's take Jonah, for instance, in the Bible. So he kept seeing all these visions about having to go to Nineveh. And, he was getting download after download after download. And Jonah chose to run from these downloads and God himself. Well, I think we know the story of what happened to Jonah and the big whale. But it's like when Jonah went to Nineveh, you noticed God did not give him a download of these people changing. I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that, but Jonah did not ever get a download that the people in Nineveh would actually hear him and choose God. Like, he never got one about that. And it's like, God chose not to do it because of how Jonah was going to react to it. Because, when Jonah seen that these people turned to God, he was pissed. Like, he sat there and was like, yep, call fire down from heaven anytime, God. Like, I'm waiting. And it's just it's wild, y'all. It's wild. And like another one, like Moses, okay? So take like the burning bush. That was a download. Because if someone else had walked up when Moses was like looking in the burning bush like that, here's my question. Do you think that those other people would have saw that? No, they wouldn't. Because God was talking directly to Moses, not anybody else. He was talking directly to Moses in that situation, in that time frame and instance. So, Moses was getting like a lot of these downloads. And then, how do you think that Moses knew that Pharaoh would break? How do you think he knew that? Because he was getting constant download about all this stuff. He was getting download after download after download. And it's like, it's crazy stuff. Because like, and come to find out, that the downloads are right. And it's like, it would take like, also I'll tell you another thing, like chosen ones, they can see, some of them can even see orbs. And I get, you probably think that may sound crazy, but like, I was actually talking to somebody about that last night and it's, sorry, I'm kind of looking out my window a little bit. Anyway, it's very bizarre. Like some of the spiritual stuff, y'all, it can get downright weird. Like, and these orbs, like, man, in fact, I've seen all types of weird stuff, especially when I was younger. Yeah, dude, it's like, and these orbs, I think they're angels. That's what I think they are. Because, matter of fact, I went to the doctor about that when I was younger because I just kept seeing these orbs. And I went to the doctor and my eyes were fine. And I was like, okay, well, what are these orb things I keep seeing? He's like, I don't know. Maybe just the light hitting your eyes. And it's like, nah, there's no way. And I'll tell you another thing, like a lot of times, when a chosen one, they have what's called a secret place, like how the Bible talks about, like go into a closet or wherever it is you go to pray to God. And, like when a chosen one does that, it's not every time, but like a lot of times that's where they'll get downloads. Seriously. So it's like, I've had downloads like in different instances, like, I'll be sitting there praying and I could get a download, or I could be sitting there gaming, get a download, or like I could be out in public and it's like, I'll be sitting here being around somebody. It's like, some people will say like, oh, they just have a bad vibe. And it's like, See, for the chosen one, their intuition will let them know. It's kind of like an intuition. It'll let them know, and you'll get a download. And, when you get this download, you don't really know what it's going to be. So it's like, and you're seeing it, and it's like God is showing you something about this person. And it's like, sure, the chosen one is supposed to try to help people. And another thing, too, though, is like it also is supposed to create boundaries and distance. Because, there's this movie that I seen. It's called Son of God. And it's a really good film. And throughout the whole film, Jesus is doing what he does and all that kind of good stuff, and it shows a very unique scene. It shows when Jesus is being crucified, it shows Peter staying back in a building, and he has a full view of Golgotha, and he keeps looking out the window and crying because how he betrayed, Jesus. Maybe God is trying to tell you something or try to get you to see something. Yes, that's exactly what it is. That's exactly what I'm saying. And it's like, to be honest with you, I think a lot of Christians like who are autistic, I think they have this. I'm not even joking. Like I really, really do. Because and the thing is like I think to some of them, like I'm not talking bad about autistic people here, quite a lot of people in my server are that way. So it's like much love there, but like, they see the world differently than what they deem as a normal person. And when they see, they will see things, a lot of them will see things for what it really is. And it's like, I've even been around like some of them, like it's crazy. And they'll tell me something, and it's like, they'll talk about, well, they saw it. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, I saw it and it was weird. It happened. And it's like, that's a download. That's not a coincidence. That is a download. And another thing too is like another person in the Bible that got downloads, I believe, was Job. Because, God was with him the whole time. The devil was just doing his garbage. It happens it happens when you least expect it. Yes, thank you, man. Yes, I was just about to say that. Like, these downloads, like you can be sitting here, seriously, y'all, I'm not even joking. I'm not making this stuff up. Like I honestly, I kind of wish I was, but like, because at some time, like, it's a blessing, from God, but then other times it's like, it can be a curse because you're seeing this stuff and, some of it's going to make you sad or make you depressed. Like, when the Yu-Gi-Oh creator died, I'll be 100% real with you. I was actually playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards with my wife at the time. And I kind of zoned out, like like a lot of times a chosen one can zone out, and that a lot of times that means they might be getting a download. Another sign of like getting a download for a chosen one is like possibly like their ears will ring, and it's not like that ringing like oh, your hearing is going out or nothing. It's like it's a different type of ringing. I don't know how to describe it. Like it's like sometimes when you get that, you'll get these downloads, and it's just it's wild stuff. Like sorry, I'm kind of losing my words here. I've been getting ringing in my ear often. Okay, so let me ask you this, bro. Do you ever be like sitting there and you will, like you'll get that ring. It's like, bam, you get a download, like you see something, and it's like it either A, it happens, or you see something bad about somebody that you're talking to that you should not have in your life, or you get a download possibly how to help somebody, or you get a download about how God is going to do something for you if you just have the faith, or you just get a download about, something to do with like something that can make you happy. Is like, it could be, like I said, literally, I'm not even joking. I got a download about that DLC character for Dragon Ball. Literally, I got a download about it, and then just bam, it happens. And it's like, the other day I was playing Genshin Impact, and I had skipped a character that I really wanted, and her name was Skirk, and I skipped her because this other girl that I really wanted, her name was Emily, and I really wanted her really, really bad, and I was on 50-50, y'all, and I had like enough for two more wishes, and I was at pity, obviously. And I'm me. I pray, bro. I pray when this stuff comes. I get vision in my dreams. Yep, that's downloads. So you get downloads too. That's what that is. Uh, yeah, and a download to help someone to do something for God, so I can make him happy. Yeah, dude. It's like, it can be good. But anyway, as I was saying, I'll go back to the Yu-Gi-Oh thing here in a second. I was sitting here and I had two wishes left, and I was praying, dude. Like, I call me weird, whatever. Like, I love my waifu. So I was sitting here praying. I was like, God, please, please let me get it. Please. Like, I just kept praying over and over and over. And it was like, a part of me was anxious. And it was like, after I did that, I seen them orbs that I was talking about earlier, them orbs. And it was almost like, that it was angels or something. When I wake up, that happens, and I think to myself, wow, did God send me these? Yeah, it's definitely from God. It's definitely from God. It's definitely not from the devil, that's for sure. And you can't do it by yourself. So it's like, who else is going to do it? God alone. It's God alone. I'm not taking credit for none of this. Like, this is that's all his doing, like, not me. But, I seen these orbs when I was doing it. It was like when I saw that, my anxiety just went away about it. Like, because it was almost like something in my soul was telling me I'm going to get this character. And I wished once, got a weapon, and then wished again, and then a 5-star came, and then like my anxiety started kind of getting up, and then it was like them orbs. It was like they got brighter, y'all. Seriously, they got brighter, and then bam, I won the 50-50 and got the character. So it's like you can get a good download like that, but then again, if somebody's saying that that's the only downloads they get, then I would say they're not all downloads, because most downloads are not positive. Like, I'm not even joking. Most downloads are not positive, because and that's the part where it comes in, where it could be about a curse, because like I said, I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards with my wife one time, and I literally got a vision. Like, it was like it was a download. Just curious, what character did you get? It was Emily, the Dendro user, 5-star with glasses. I last time she had a run and I lost my 50-50, like, call me crazy, but dude, I cried. And this time I got it. It was like, so it was really good that like I got a download about that, because it really made me feel good. But the good downloads, bro, like, you can't beat them. You can't beat them, y'all. You just can't. But Anyway, it was like I got a download, a vision. I seen the Yu-Gi-Oh crater and then just water. That was all I seen. And you can also get downloads about people you really genuinely love and care about. And I think that's why I got this download. And come to find out, because when I get this, I tend to start looking stuff up. And I seen that he died scuba diving, drowning, saving a very good couple. He saved all of them but the husband, I believe, and he died a hero. So it was like, whenever I perceive something bad about to happen, it feels like my heart is racing, but my heart rate doesn't actually change. Would that count? Yes. So I tell you another thing too. It's like, have you ever been in a moment like you'll get a download, and it's like, I was actually talking to Storm about this the other night, and it was crazy that he said this because it was like he literally took the words out of my soul. And it's like, you'll get a download. It's almost kind of like how JoJo's work. Like we was talking about this, like how just time stops. And it's like after the download, it's like, you don't even realize that time passed. And it's like it seems like no time has passed after you got this download. And it's wild stuff, man. Like it's crazy, but it's like, it's a blessing and a curse at the same time. Like, I don't know if y'all know who Nostradamus was, but this man was constantly getting downloads after downloads after downloads. And this guy literally predicted, Napoleon, the rise of Hitler, even called Hitler out by name, even knew where Hitler was going to be born, even knew he was going to be from a poor family, knew that what he was going to do to God's people. There's other people like that too. Like there's this woman I got a book of her, and it's called the Money Beast System 666 or something like that. I forget the name of it, but it's something like that. And in the book, she's talking about like how in the 80s, she was talking about, she told a cashier once she got a download because it had to have been a download because there's no way she knew this. She said, that was back when they were typing the groceries into the cash register, like the price and stuff. And she said, here very, very soon, you'll be able to scan the item and you won't have to do all that. Everybody laughed at her. They made fun of her, and some people even got mad about it. Well, come to find out, she was right. Another case, I'm going to try to use some cases that didn't happen in the Bible as well, like these here. Another one is where this one guy, he was reading a newspaper, and he wrote a book too. I forget this guy's name, but he wrote a book, and this was back when TV and all that, wasn't around. And he said, he goes, someday you're not going to read your news. You're going to watch your news and you're going to listen to your news on a radio. And sure enough, bam, he was 100% correct. And, it's like these people, they are downloads like visions. Yes, I just literally said that, bro. Like these people that I'm talking about here, these are downloads because this information is coming directly from God. Like, there's no way that those people could have known that. There's no way. They're just the average person, not someone in the government or nothing. Like there's no way they could have known that. And then there was another guy, he predicted is what they claim. But anyway, it would have been a download. He started talking about like you won't have to use your bicycle or walk. He said you'll be in this thing. It's going to be shaped kind of like a box. Or that's what he used back then because that was the words they used. And he said it's going to have a steering wheel. And he described to the best of his ability everything that was going to be in a vehicle. He said 2 back seats, 2 front seats. And he described, like in his own words, about the dashboard. Sure enough, the guy was right. So it's like, there's no way that these are coincidences. You know, it's like these people, they're getting downloads, y'all. Seriously, they're getting downloads. And you know, it's like I've been getting downloads and stuff like that since I was 6 or 7, y'all. I'm not joking. And you know, it's like it it's crazy stuff. And another thing too is like, you know, Abraham, he got a lot of download. He got a lot of downloads, and some of these downloads were to prove his faith to God. Some of these downloads was just all kinds of stuff. You know, David, he got downloads, you know, talking about, you know, Israel is, I mean, not David, Moses. He got, you know, downloads. Israel is going to be free from the Pharaoh. And, you know, if you pay attention to these people who got downloads in the scriptures, they were never wrong. And same thing with those I mentioned that wasn't in the Bible. They're never wrong. You know, it's like if you're you claiming you're getting a download and it's wrong, it's like it wasn't a download. You know, that was just you thinking, oh, well, maybe that's going to happen. Like, you know, because there are dreams. Dreams do happen. Nightmares do happen. So not all of that is a download. You know, but like going back to Nostradamus, like this guy was getting so much download. Like my heart goes out to this guy. So Nostradamus had left the Catholic Church after he discovered how bad Catholicism was. And he was a Christian, and he just said one day it started. You know, he became awoken. One day it started, and he just started seeing all these visions all the time. He even predicted like wars that was going to happen in his time. He predicted wars that was going to happen in the future, like World War III. He even predicted the third Antichrist, who their name is very similar to Obama. That's why they thought that Barack Obama was the Antichrist, because of Nostradamus. But here's the thing. A lot of people who read Nostradamus's quatrains and writings misinterpret them badly. So it's like I've even seen some of the most skilled not archaeologists, shoot, what's that word? Somebody who studies scripture and the experts, you know. Not even a lot of them can't even make out any sense of what some of his quatrains is about. Like, dude, this guy literally predicted the hunger crisis in 2005. This guy predicted Hurricane Katrina. There's so much I could say that he predicted, you know, you know, but what it was is it was downloads. That's what it was downloads. Like, and this guy, he died because he hardly could sleep. Like this guy, he would be like dozing off, and then just all of a sudden, bam, he would wake up and get a download and start writing about it. And the sad thing is, this guy was getting so much downloads that he would be writing about one of the downloads he got, and then just bam, another download comes to him. And, you know, at that point, I would say it would be not only a blessing, but a curse. I got a question, but do you think Overlord visions could happen or no? Are you talking about the anime, or that's the only thing I know you could be talking about is the anime? I got a question, but do you think overloading visions could happen? I'm not understanding what you're trying to say, bro. Kind of help me out here. But yeah, these downloads, bro, are no joke. They're no joke, y'all. and it, it's it's crazy, bro, because like, you'll be sitting here and you'll just randomly get a download, and it's like, like there have been times, like my wife will try to talk to me, and I'll be like, you actually staring like that. Now, sometimes I do that because I'm in thought. A lot of times I do it in thought, but like there's times where it's like I'm not doing it in thought. And then usually when I'm doing it in thought, she can snap me back pretty quickly. But if I'm doing it, like for a kind of like a more than just like 5 seconds, I'm getting a download. So it's like, and then she'll be sitting there, and it's like after the download's over, I'll be like, I'll be kind of like that, And sorry, y'all, my nose is itching. But yeah, I'll be getting a download, and it's like, what would happen if you get so many visions at once? Wouldn't it overwhelm you? Yes, it did. Nostradamus. Literally, the guy lost his life after a long time because um, he didn't even want to eat, bro. Like he didn't even want to eat. This guy could sit here and look in a bowl of water, and then bam, he would get a download. And it was like, God was using him like nonstop. And it's like, when they say, a lot of times they'll say, oh, well, Nostradamus was wrong. And it's like, no, Nostradamus wasn't wrong. It's just the quatrain was misinterpreted. So you can't just sit here and say the guy was wrong just because they misinterpreted the quatrains. I think many inventors like Nikola Tesla had visions from God too. Honestly, I would honestly go out on a limb here and say Nikola Tesla had downloads. I honestly really would. So it's like that guy was a smart guy, like literally. I would honestly say he might have got some downloads. I'm not 100% sure, but like he probably did. And it's kind of like you ever see those movies? Like it'll kind of like do like it'll zoom into the eye like that, and then it will show you like all this stuff, and then after that's over, it'll zoom out of the eye. That's literally what kind of said, very similar to what a download is like. Very similar. But these are spiritual downloads. That they're spiritual. Most of them are, and it's like it's crazy stuff, y'all. It really is. Like because a lot of them can make you cry. A lot of them can make you joyful. A lot of them can make you. Some of them can even make you kind of angry. Like because it's like because if you're around someone, right, and then you kind of trust them. Say you just trust them, right, and then you're around them one time, and it's just like bam, you get a download. And then they let you know that they're like narcissistic, or they're something's not right. Like you ever felt like something ain't right with someone? Like every time you get around them, like it's kind of like something's telling you something. It's like I think like some people when they get downloads, they don't even realize what it is. Like I think quite a few Christians, quite a lot of Christians, honestly, I think are like this. So it's like, do you know how to practice spiritual stuff? I just got many questions for the stuff from the Bible. It depends. I'm no expert. I'm not gonna lie to y'all and say I'm an expert. I'm a Christian. I'm human. I make mistakes. I fail daily. So it's like, I can only answer the best to my ability or something I know for certain. So yeah, if you got questions, feel free to ask them. Like I'll try my best to answer them. But it's Tesla said that so many ideas would come into his head like a flash of lightning, and it would feel like the truth was being revealed. Exactly. What else would that be but a download, Storm? Seriously, what else would it be? You Nah, the bro got downloads. That's what he got. He got downloads. And I think even some people who are non-Christian, I think God, because God can use those kinds of people and like give them downloads. Like that's irrelevant. Like because when you're getting a download, there'll be sometimes you might dread it because you're wondering what kind of stuff that's bad that you're going to see. Like I said earlier, the good downloads are the best. Like you honestly can't beat them because um it gives you a break from the bad downloads, so to say. So, but another thing too is there are times my wife has not really understood some of this until I explained it to her. Like sometimes like somebody will talk to us and then I'll just walk away. And the reason I do this is because one, I'm not interested in small talk, and two, more than likely I've got a download on them. And it's like, that, and I another thing too is like chosen ones can read auras. One time I was told by somebody that I had a very, very beautiful pink aura. This was, gosh, I was so young. And, at the time I was like, I don't know what you mean. Well, one time I was in an elevator and I saw somebody have a green aura. And, it's like you can tell if a person's like high vibrational based off their aura. And some like the high auras, it's like very colorful. It's like these people, they're more than likely high vibrational. And it's kind of like with me, like the whole pretty pink aura. Um, kind of like kind of like Goku Blacks in a way. Like no joke. Like very similar, not the same way, but like similar. Like, and I'll tell you another thing too. Like I was even talking to Storm the other day. I am going to mention this. As far as like high vibrations, there was times I told him that a lot of times, my vibration, like it'll be so high, it's like you get a burst of energy. And it's not like, now I'm not talking about energy like from caffeine or something like that. It's a out of this kind of world type energy. Could these downloads be, hang on, Noah, I'll get to your question. Could these downloads be related to the spiritual gift of prophecy? 100%. Yes, I do. I do believe they are, bro. Because, like I mentioned before, like with Nostradamus, those people I mentioned about in the books, or some of the people in the Bible, a lot. As a matter of fact, Jesus himself got downloads, bro. Like Jesus probably had more downloads than anybody in history. Jesus, he's the Son of God, so it's like obviously he's going to get downloads. Like when Peter hugged him, and Peter was like, I'll never betray you. And then Jesus is like, you'll betray me 3 times before the cock crows. That was a download. If you watch like certain shows and movies about that, like it'll show Jesus, like it'll show him his eyes will widen. It's like this comes to him. And the reason why they do that is because it was a download. And same thing with like Judas, like Jesus got a download about Judas, like from directly from God the Father. So it's like, even Jesus got downloads. Jesus got downloads about his crucifixion. Like he got downloads about his mom. He got all these kinds of downloads. And it's like, if we're getting them, it's like, the Son of God is obviously going to get them. That could explain why some receive more than others, since we all have access to the spiritual gifts, but some have them at different degrees. Yes, I agree. Now I will say downloads have nothing to do with the spiritual gifts that Jesus took away, like going and healing people or speaking in tongues, stuff like that. That stuff has clearly, it's not a thing anymore. Even though some people try to make like it is, all these false prophets, but like it's not. If they would read their Bible, they would see that, when Peter was given this kind of ability, Jesus took it away for good, like for good. Like it did not come back after that, like with anybody. So, yeah, it's like, these spiritual gifts. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. They are related to prophecy, 100%, dude. Don't let the excitement of youth cause you to forget your creator. What does that mean? I'm not going to say I know this for certain. I'm just going to take an educated guess because I think when we're children, we think about playing and doing kid things, and that could cause us to probably, as children, forget God. But yeah, it's I don't think it necessarily applies to Jesus, since he already knows everything, so he wouldn't have like a aha moment as if he just received it. Okay, that's not what I mean. So obviously there was some things kept from Jesus. Like Jesus does not know when he's going to even return. What I mean is, like, Jesus could give himself download, because Jesus is a spiritual being. So obviously he's going to give himself download because he is God in human form. You got to understand he's in human form. So I do believe that it does apply to Jesus, because since he's in his humanity, it's like he'll get a download. But the thing is his downloads, I would say, were way different than like normal people's downloads. Because it's like I mentioned before with like the whole Golgotha thing, Jesus literally saw himself on the cross. That's a vision, so that would have been a download. That's why he sweated blood in the garden. That's the whole point, because he received a download about it. And it's like, could you imagine having a download that intense, y'all? And you start sweating blood. Would you say Jesus got special downloads? I would say Jesus got the greatest downloads ever in history, because Jesus was God in human flesh and human form. He is the Son of God the Father. And it's like, another thing too, like I'll tell you how I also think Jesus got downloads is because, think about it. What would give you downloads in today's world? Could it be the Holy Spirit, God the Father, Jesus, or all three? Honestly, I think a lot of them can come from the Holy Spirit, because when Jesus was going, because Jesus told these people all these things. So it was like, when Jesus was telling them, they didn't need a download to know it, because Jesus was telling them himself. And obviously Jesus does not lie. So Jesus is telling 100% truth to these people. And then people's like, well, can't you just stay, after he resurrected? And then it was like, Jesus was like, well, no, behold, I'm going to leave my Holy Spirit with you. The reason he said that was because so they could get these downloads, so they can be comforted, so they can come to know God more through his Holy Spirit and reading his word. Like, it has everything to do with downloads, bro. Like, it really does. Like, so I don't think that, to say that Jesus did not have downloads, I honestly, I feel like that would be a bad thing to say. I'll be honest. Like, I feel like that would be a bad thing to say. I'm not saying, I know you didn't mean it that way. But like, yeah, his downloads wasn't like a aha moment, you know. I mean, yeah, Jesus knew a lot, and it was like, you know, I also think that when Jesus was like on the water, you know, Peter, I think, got a download because all of them thought that Jesus was literally a ghost. Literally, that's what they thought. And then, sure, you can blame it on faith. Peter had a lot of faith. That's true. However, even he thought it was a ghost at first. So it's like, you know, and then he realized that it was Jesus, the Son of God, because he got a download. Because that was his test. His test was to walk on water like Jesus, have enough faith. That was a special test for Peter. And, you know, it was like Peter got a download, but the thing that, you know, God didn't give him a download on was the fact that he was going to fail the test. He just gave him a download that that's the Son of God. So he had to he was supposed to let his faith play out and see if he would have enough faith for a long time. So God didn't have enough faith eventually, and then he started sinking under the water, and then Jesus helped him back up. You know, so it's like, even if you get a download like that, and then you fail like the test that God is putting you through, it's like, you know, God will pick you back up. You know, I can say things I've failed and God's picked me back up. So it's like, you know, it's really good stuff, y'all. It really is. But like some of these downloads can be intense. Some of them can be intense, and it's like, you know, it's really insane because and I'll tell you what's really insane is when you're sitting there playing a video game and then you just get a download. Like, because sometimes when I game, I'll pray. Like, I'll be honest. Like, you know, I don't always just sit and go to a closet and pray. How I'm thinking of it, downloads came from the cloud, but Jesus is the cloud, so he already had them. I think that saying he received a divine vision almost separates his divinity from humanity. Okay, no, that we are not doing that. No. You cannot, we cannot sit here and say, you know, Jesus did not have his humanity and divinity. Jesus could not give up either one. Like I said, by download, like, you know, obviously, like, I think pretty much, like, you know, Jesus knew mostly everything, obviously. And, like, I do believe, though, that he did get some downloads and whatnot. But, I don't think, like, you know, Jesus was getting, like, downloads, like Nostradamus or something, because, you know, obviously Jesus knows pretty much almost everything, just only the stuff that God did not, you know, God the Father did not tell him. So if that's what it sounded like, I apologize. But yeah, like it's intense stuff, y'all. But I think also, like, the way that humans get downloads are different. Like, you know, because like Jesus was seeing things like when he was a child. You know, he was seeing all this stuff. Sure, yes, you can't separate his divinity and humanity, but you got to think he was a child. And it's like, you know, I don't think we even know if Jesus understood this stuff as a child. And when I mean a child, I'm not talking about the thing and like we're in the Bible where he was like 12 years old. Like I'm talking about like kind of like 4, 5, 6 years old, because it's like, you know, if Jesus had downloads, he would have been getting them since he was a baby. But like, there's even a scene like, you know, Abraham, like he's sitting here talking, and it's like, it makes you wonder, why didn't Lot get a download about his wife turn into a pillar of salt? Now that's my question. Um, I'm not so sure that Lot was necessarily even a believer. Like, because I know a lot of people probably think he was, but like, I don't know. I don't necessarily see much of any proof to believe that he was. Because like he wanted to go to those cities just as much as his wife did. A lot of people want to just blame it on his wife, and it was like, no, he wanted to go too. And it doesn't really say he ever got downloads, or any kind of visions like that. Not like other people. David, I think he got downloads. Um, I mean, it's like, and I'll tell you, but I'll tell you this though. I'm gonna tell you what I think. Jesus is the king of downloads. Now, this is why I said that Jesus got downloads. And like I said, this is different from humans. So this is the way I believe. Since Jesus is God, Jesus can send this stuff to his human body. Because the Bible does state that Jesus does not know anything without the Father. So you have to take that into consideration. So my intent was not to preach heresy. That's kind of what I meant by that. Does that make sense, Mathman? Does that make sense? Um, I'll tell you another thing too. Like, when Jesus was going to be tested, so did he know what he was going to be tested on? The Bible does not say that he did. When Jesus was in the desert for 40 days and 40 nights or whatever, without food, Satan appears to him. And, Satan was showing him all this stuff. So it's almost kind of like that Satan was trying to pervert downloads. That Satan was trying to pervert the gift of God, because I don't know if anybody's ever noticed that. Like, and Jesus was seeing all this stuff, like, and then he puts the devil in his place, obviously. So it's like, that's kind of what I meant, like, about like download. If that makes sense, Mathman, please let me know. If not, I'll try to explain it more. But yeah, it's just I just wouldn't say that Jesus got downloads like we did, because Jesus knows way more than we do. Obviously, he's the Son of God. So I mean, I think because Jesus was a chosen one. He was he was a chosen one because he is the Son of God. He was the one chosen to bear the sins of humanity. So I think it was only kind of natural that he at least got some form of download. Because God uses his powers in crazy ways, bro. Like crazy ways. And BC means before Christ, right? I've also been watching the Chosen TV show, and so far it's good. I got to season 4, almost season 5. Okay, so that show is heresy. That show right there is speculation of what happened. I do not watch that show. I do not like it. And also, a lot of the people who are on the set of that show are liberals. So it's like, they had the flags out like one time, like, it's like, that shouldn't be on the set of a Christian said. And I'm not talking about country flags either. Yeah, as far as that show goes, my recommendation is to stay away from it. Yes, it's written by Mormons, exactly. You know, and it's like they're saying that like Nicodemus was a priest after this, and I believe the verse you mentioned refers to the will of God, not a literal Jesus can only do that which the Father gives him. Well, then why would Jesus say that I know nothing without my Father? I get where you're coming from. I get where you're coming from, Math Man. I really do. Like, it implies a hierarchy that pure that puts the Father above the Son, which is wrong. Well, here's the thing, though. I'm not. No, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit are all equal. However, just how equal are they? Because are they 100% equal if Jesus himself does not know the day he's coming back? Like, because the Bible says that that's kept from Jesus. Like, Jesus does not know that. Not even Jesus knows that in heaven. Only God the Father knows that. So it's like, you know, you kind of got to think about that, bro. But like, yeah, Jesus left his Holy Spirit here so that human beings could get downloads, you know, and it's kind of a good thing, you know, that he did, like, because only God will tell Jesus when the time is to come. Yeah, exactly. You know, as a matter of fact, it actually paints a picture in Revelations, bro. Get this. So that when all these Christians are being persecuted for not receiving the mark of the beast after they declined it, bro, even the angels in heaven are literally saying to God, when are you going to step in? And God replies, this must happen for a short time. So it's like, you know, I feel like, you know, Jesus and God the Father are both saying that. I feel like they're both saying that, not just God the Father. So I don't think God the Father is above Jesus the Son. They are all the same being, just kind of different personas, I guess you would say. I guess that's a way to put it. If that makes sense. Exactly. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are all equal, but with distinct roles. Um, I should have said that. Sometimes I get my words mixed up, so sorry about that. Yeah, they are all you know, they're all equal, but with distinct roles. So, you know, God, I feel like God the Father, though, probably has the most distinct out of them because, you know, God is literally the oldest being in existence. And it's like, you know, God gave Jesus his spirit. You know, Jesus is the Son of God, God in human form. You know, so it's like, yeah, they all got distinct different roles. Um, but just because they, you know, didn't have you know, just because they all have distinct roles doesn't mean that Jesus did not get some form of download. Because, you know, just because you get a download, that doesn't mean that that you have to separate the godhood and humanity from Jesus. Like, it doesn't mean that. Like, Well, could I ask this? Could you give me any good Christian films to watch? No one can beat God because he is the universe and has the whole world in his hands. I think you probably want to reword that, Noah, to God has the universe and the whole world in his hands, because some people watching this might actually think you're like a universalist because they believe that the universe is God, like space and all that. Just a heads up. But yeah, there's a lot to get into this topic. Um, I apologize, Math Man, if you honestly think my intent was to do that. I guess you didn't understand where I was coming from. That's fine though. Um, but I wasn't trying to say that Jesus got downloads in the sense of like Nostradamus or anything, or like any of us. If that makes sense. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna have to get off here and eat, y'all. I'm really hungry, so I ain't good with texting that much. You're good, man. You're good. Yeah. So, let me know if any of you otakus that watch this, let me know if you get downloads. Because like I'm having a difficult time wrapping my head around. I do not believe you're a heretic. I believe my gift is discernment, so I can't help but piece things apart like that. Dude, you're good, dude. I was not accusing you of anything. I wasn't. And my intent was not to be heretical or anything. Like I speak out against all of that. So it's like, my heart's in the right place. So, I have the gift of discernment too, just like you said. It's like, like I said, man, like I'm going to be honest with you. These downloads, bro, like how you said you're having a difficult time wrapping your head around it. I get them and I still have a difficult time because, I was even talking to Storm about this the other night. And it's like, he could even tell you, like, I would go quiet because I was a loss of words because I don't know the words to even form to tell you how these downloads work. Like, it's just, I can only tell you what they are. Like, I can't necessarily tell you, like, because I'm not God. I don't deliver these downloads. So it's like, it's very hard. I do believe your intentions are good. I just wanted to point out what I was saying just in case. Yeah. Yeah, I was not saying, trying to tear apart Jesus' divinity and humanity, because when you do that, I agree with you, that is heretical, that you just cannot do that because, see, I hear a lot of people will say, you'll talk about how Jesus was God, but yet they will try to rip him of his humanity. And then they will talk about how Jesus is human, and it's like they try to rip apart his divinity. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't. If you know the true Jesus of the Bible, it does not work that way. Because it's like you can't have one without the other. You just can't. But yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry that you had a difficult time understanding it because like. I kind of thought maybe somebody would, because it's like I'm only human, and it's like a lot of the words that I can put into place, you still may not understand, bro. Like, because it's really hard for anybody to put into words. Even Storm was talking about just the other night when I was talking to him. He couldn't even put it into words because it's like you'll try to put it into words, and then it's like some people will think you're saying something else when you're not. Like how you was just doing, and that's not your fault. I understand. Like, but yeah. I can tell you now that was definitely not my intention to rip apart his divinity or humanity. Um, but like, and another thing too is a download is not like a aha moment. I think that's where you kind of misunderstood. A download is a spiritual gift, like I said before. It's not like an aha moment. Like an aha moment, it's like, oh, didn't know, like, oh man, I couldn't believe that. Like, it wasn't. It's not like an aha moment. I don't know how to put it, man. I don't. It's like but based off what you said, I do believe you get downloads. Seriously, I do believe you do because some of the stuff you were saying earlier, it kind of does like how you talking about prophecy and stuff like that. I do believe you're getting downloads at some point, so it's like, yeah, I think I think it's a really good topic to talk about, so to say. But yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna end the stream here. So I will try to talk about this topic again to the best of my ability because I mean, maybe I could talk about some of the downloads that I've had. I talked about a couple, but like maybe I could go more in depth with some of the more downloads. But like, there's not a whole lot that I can necessarily put into words like about this, bro. Like that's all I know. But um, sorry, I had to reply to somebody on my server. Anyway, yeah. So I'm gonna get off here and I'm gonna go eat, and I'll be in the server if anybody needs me. Noah, you can ask your questions in the server if you want to, and I will try my best to help you with them. Like if I don't know it though, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I don't know because I'm not gonna be like a lot of other Christians, just make some garbage up off the top of my head or something. I'm just not gonna do that. Um, so yeah, I thank y'all for tuning into the stream. This topic honestly was not really easy for me to talk about because it's like you can't hardly express it. But anyway, yeah, I'm gonna go eat, and I will see you all next time. God bless you all, and thank you for the support and love, and I hope y'all have a good rest of your night. Anyway, agree. If I come up with any more questions, I'll send a DM in the server, a message on Discord. That was a very interesting topic for sure. Yeah, sure. If anybody's got any questions, don't bother to ask me. I mean, I'm not a know-it-all. I will say that. I'm not claiming to be. I'm not a know-it-all. So if I don't know it, I'm gonna tell you straight up, I don't know. My calling is to preach the word of God and to, I believe, maybe even talk about these downloads, like the YouTube channel, the Discord server for Christian otakus who love anime and anime games. That's my calling, and so yeah, I enjoyed y'all being here. Nice talk. So yep, I will see you all next time.